Welcome and thank you for joining us for the virtual exploration for all North and South Carolina students, sponsored by the Carolinas Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers and StriveScan. Thank you for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and your microphone are turned off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the full schedule at CACRAO.org. This presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at the same website, CACRAO.org. I'd now like to turn it over to our presenters.
Thank you so much. I hope everyone is doing well today on this Thursday morning. My name is Imani Callan, and I'm an admission counselor here at the University of Miami, and I specifically oversee the territories of Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. So I will be your main point of contact for any questions you may have about Miami, or our application process. So I'm really happy to be with you guys here today. I also have my colleague Daniela, who will be helping out during our Q&A portion, but I'm really excited to get started. So a fun fact about me, I am a very proud alumna of the University of Miami. I graduated in the class of 2017, and I loved it so much I came back to work here full time. So definitely have a lot of love for the U, and I definitely bleed orange and green. So some background information about we are a pretty young university. We were only founded in 1925, but we didn't actually open our doors and have our first classes until 1926. And that is because of the Great Miami Hurricane. So since that was the only thing that can stop us from opening our doors and being great, we decided to adopt that name for our students and for our athletic teams as a symbol of our strength and resilience and our ability to sweep all the other athletic teams away. We are a private mid-sized institution, so we have about 10,000 undergraduate students, and we come from all over the world, over 100 countries and 49 out of the 50 states. So if anyone knows someone in Wyoming, please tell them to apply. We'd love to get back up to all 50 in the coming years. Now at we have over 180 different majors and programs. So you guys have a lot of choices. And because we have so many choices and not that many students, your average class size will be on the smaller side. So you'll be in a classroom of about 16 to 27 students. So you're gonna have a lot of individualized attention, one-on-one time from your professors, and they'll be easily accessible if you need help on an assignment or if you want a letter of recommendation for them. There's also a 92% first year to sophomore return rate, and I'm a personal testament to this because like I said, I love I keep coming back year after year, even to work. And of course, if you're a sports fan, we do play in Division I athletics, and we play in the ACC conference and the NCAA. Now, one thing we don't have at is traditional general education requirements. So what that means is instead of forcing students to take all those classes like science, English, math, history, and a language that they may or may not have interest in, we've totally replaced that with what we call Cognates. So instead of taking all those subject areas, all you have to do during your 4 years here at is to take 3 classes in these 3 areas of knowledge. STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, arts and humanities, and people and society. That's it. So what's cool about Cognates is that one of them will automatically be satisfied by whatever you're majoring in, because you're definitely going to be taking over 3 classes in that specific area of knowledge. So really all you have to worry about doing is satisfying those other 2 Cognates. And there are hundreds of different classes and combinations that you can pick and choose from to really satisfy and study what you want to study while at school. So for example, say you're studying aerospace engineering. Your STEM cognate, totally covered by that. You don't have to take any additional STEM classes. But you can pick and choose from classes that either go hand in hand with your major or something that is totally unrelated or just something that you have interest in. So I know me personally, when I came to undergrad, I was very worried about science classes. After 9th grade biology, I pretty much realized like science isn't for me. That's not my favorite subject area and I'm not too great in it. So when I talked to my academic advisor and I was like, listen, like, I don't know how it's gonna go if you put me in like a biology class or a chemistry class. And she said, don't worry, you never have to take those typical science classes in that way if that's not what interests you. So instead of having to take a physics or a chemistry, I took a really cool cognate called science for the non-science major, which had classes like fitness and nutrition, web design, and natural disasters in film and television. Now, to this day, I'm not so sure how watching the movie Twister like 30 times counts as a science class, but it did. And I was able to find science classes that aligned with what I was interested in. So I was never taking classes that I didn't care about. And that made it very easy to stay invested in my education and to create my own academic path. But moreover, you can have a lot of flexibility with cognates too. So say you really found a cognate that you liked a lot. You can keep studying it by turning that cognate into a minor. So cognates are already 3 classes. Minors are usually 4, maybe 5 classes. So since you already got 3 under your belt, really easy to just tack on that extra class or 2 and turn that from a cognate into a minor, which is something a lot of our students do here at UM, which is why when you meet a Miami Hurricane, they'll usually have at least a minor, maybe 2 minors, or even a double major. And it's all because the cognate system makes it so easy. Here at UM, learning is not only done inside the classroom, but outside as well, and that comes by way of our study abroad programs. So we have over 80 different programs in 35 countries, and some of the ones that are unique to UM are called our U programs. These are University of Miami classes taught by University of Miami professors, made up of UM students. We literally just pick it up from campus and put it in another country. Now, a lot of students like to do our U programs because you're going abroad with fellow Canes, so you'll have a sense of community abroad. And a lot of the times you may recognize them from being in the same major as you, so you might have seen them in class, or maybe you just saw them walking around campus or hanging out in a student organization. So you'll have that community, and you're not totally abroad fending for yourself. You'll also have continued access to your professors because not only are they going abroad with you, but they'll be returning with you too. So if you really hit it off and you really enjoyed a professor's class and you're like, oh, I really want this letter of recommendation from this professor, you don't have to be like, oh man, I saw him in Rome and I'll never see him again. You can just walk into their office the following semester and get that letter. Now, if you're interested in our U programs, some of our popular ones include U Paris, U Rome, U Galapagos. I know that one's a hit amongst our marine science students, and it's kind of like a 2-for-1 deal. I know people that have gone to study in U Galapagos for marine science and come back also being fluent in Spanish. So you get the best of both worlds and really immerse yourself into that culture. Now, if you're not interested in doing one of our U programs, don't worry. We also have the traditional study abroad programs where we send you to a partner university abroad, and then you come back once you're done. You can study abroad for however long you want, but you do have a ton of options. So you can go like a week, maybe over spring break or winter break. You can go a couple of months over the summer, a full semester, or even a full year if you're really brave. But we have lots of options for you, and we go all over the country. UM is also a Tier 1 research institution, and what that means is it's kind of like our bread and butter here. So if you're like me, when you hear the word research, you're probably thinking of like chemicals and lab coats and like blowing things up in a lab. And while we do have research in that typical sense, all 9 of our undergraduate schools and colleges are doing research in some way, shape, or form. So if you want to get involved in STEM research, you could be in a lab blowing things up, or you could be out with our marine biology program going shark tagging, or you could be with our political science students doing research on the election cycle. There's a lot of options for you, and you can get involved in research from your first year on campus. Now, this is really great because a lot of places you have to be a senior or even a graduate level student to do research, but not here. We want our students to do things early on if that's what interests them. And you can find research a lot of different ways, but the most common ways are to definitely just approach your professor, because usually they'll introduce themselves along with their research topic when they're teaching class. Or you can go to our Office of Undergraduate Research. And there you'll fill out kind of like a Match.com profile of all your skills and interests, and then they'll send you back a list of projects that align with those skills and interests. Now, what's great about this is that you do not have to do research in whatever area you're studying in. So if you have a particular hobby or interest, you can totally do research in that field too. In fact, one of our students, Sydney, is a nursing student, but she's an avid scuba diver. So she went to the Office of Undergraduate Research and said, I don't care what I'm doing, I just want to go scuba diving. So she was able to get involved with a project called Rescue a Reef, where she goes and scuba dives and re-embeds healthy coral reef into the ocean floor. Now, she was able to get involved in this her first year on campus. And by that second semester of her first year, that project was picked up by the Frost Museum of Science here in Miami and is now an exhibit for everyone to see. So that's a really cool, really great credential to have on your resume, and it can happen to a lot of our students. In fact, because they're able to build their portfolio so much, a lot of our students end up getting published by the time they graduate, which I always say having a publishing record on your resume is like dipping it in gold. You're automatically very marketable, very competitive, and you look great when you're applying to jobs, internships, or graduate school. Now, another way to get involved and to experience new things right on campus is by joining our over 300 plus clubs and organizations. So we have so many, and they cover a wide range of interests. Everything from pre-professional organizations, cultural organizations, Greek life, community service orgs, clubs that are just for fun, like our tea drinking club or our video game club. You name it, there's probably a club for you. And what's cool about this is that if you join a club, you can also get some leadership experience because they're all student run. So if you wanted to be the president of our marine mammal rescue team, you can totally do that. Or if you wanted to be our outreach coordinator for Alternative Breaks, which is one of the community service organizations on campus, you can do that too. So again, you can have those resume building experiences. You can get some leadership under your belt, but also it's just a great way to meet people and to make friends. So as a student, I've joined probably like 40 to 50 clubs as an undergraduate, which I don't necessarily advise joining 40 to 50, but I will say I met probably the vast majority of my friends through all these clubs and orgs, and we're still very close friends to this day. So I'm a huge advocate about whenever you go to college, join a club or two, but especially here at UM, because with over 300, you're bound to find at least one that you're interested in. Now, the reason why we call this presentation the opportunity of Miami is because coming to UM is so much more than just attending a basic college in a small college town. We're uniquely located in the city of Miami, which is one of the most global cities in the US. So we always encourage our students to step off campus and go explore the city and see what the greater Miami area has to offer. Now, a common misconception about UM is that we're located right on South Beach or like right downtown in the middle of the city. And that is not the case. We're actually located in Coral Gables, which is a suburb of Miami. It's about 15 minutes from downtown and about 30 minutes from South Beach, give or take, depending on the traffic. You never know what you're going to get into with that Miami traffic. But I always like to say our location has the best of both worlds. So if you want to hit all the hot spots of Miami, we're very conveniently located to all those different locations. But if you're looking to have a chill weekend or looking to do something on campus, there's always something going on campus as well. So if you look at the pictures at the top, those rainbow umbrellas, that's Coral Gables. That's our immediate neighborhood. And right across the street from us, we have 2 grocery stores, a movie theater, a bowling alley, a mall, and like hundreds of restaurants, which I know I'm a fan of because I like to eat my way through different cities. And then if you go 10 minutes to the right of campus, guess what? There's more malls, more shops, more restaurants. Then you have Wynwood, which is by far my favorite part of Miami. That is our arts district. So if you've ever Googled Miami and seen like murals or street art, 9 times out of 10, it's in Wynwood. So I love to go there and check out their galleries. They also have a ton of cool events going on the weekend. And I know that's always where I go, especially in the months of December and January when it's like 5 degrees up north and my friends are stuck in snow and it's still 80 degrees and sunny down here in Miami. I love to post pictures and brag about how it's nice weather outside. Then we have downtown and Brickell, which are our 2 financial districts here in Miami. Because we're uniquely located right in the crossroads of the Americas, so kind of right between North America and South America, we have lots of international corporations and Fortune 500 companies that either have satellite offices here or headquarters here. Now, this comes in handy when students are looking for internships. Because they're all in this area and because they love to hire UM students, tons of our students end up going to get internships throughout the school year. And we'll actually help you prepare to get those internships too. And that comes through our Topple Career Center. That is the hub for all career preparation you need. So you can get everything from resume building workshops, mock interviews, to different events like our career fairs, where hundreds of different companies will come to our campus in our Watsco Center, which is where our basketball team plays. And they'll sit and sometimes network, sometimes they do on-site interviews, and sometimes they'll even schedule you for interviews that same week. So it's a great way to get connected with career opportunities, either right in Miami or in all over the world, but you do have a ton of different options. Now, this is a look at our admitted student profile. So fall 2019's first year class had 38,895 applications come in with a 27% admission rate, an average SAT score that fell between a 1350 and a 1480, and an average ACT score that fell between a 31 and a 34, and an average unweighted GPA of about a 3.8. Now, these are not our minimums, they're not our requirements, it's just the middle 50% of our students fell within this range. So about 25% of our admitted students fell below that, and about 25% fell above that. Now, it's not an automatic yes or no depending on where you fall within that spectrum. And that's because we understand that students are so much more than just a test score or a GPA or a number on a page. So because of that, we have a holistic review process. So when you apply to you'll be submitting a couple different documents, the first of which being the Common Application. Now, we're only on the Common App, so you don't have to worry about filling out any other type of application. And on the Common App, there will be a section for your extracurricular activities. Here, you should write anything that takes up a significant portion of your time. As a rule of thumb, I always say, as long as it's not Netflix or napping, it counts as an extracurricular activity. So if you play any sports, if you're in any clubs, if you do community service, if you have a part-time job, that all counts as extracurricular activities. But you can also include things like babysitting a younger sibling or watching after an elderly relative, or if you have like a 2 or 3 hour commute to school, you can all include that in your extracurricular activities list. Really, anything you're doing outside of the classroom counts. So make sure you're listing all that on your extracurricular list. After that, you'll be submitting your essay responses. Now, what's new this year is we have added a supplemental essay. So you'll be submitting 2 in total, your Common App response and the supplemental essay response. These essays are your time to shine. It's the only part of the application where you can showcase your personality. So you gotta make it count. Make sure you're highlighting yourself. Tell us what makes you special and tell us something that we wouldn't have known just by reading your application. You have full creative control of whatever you write in these things. So really you can tell us any story, any fun fact, or literally anything at all. Just make sure you're not telling us what you think we want to hear, and you're telling us how awesome you are and why we should admit you to the University of Miami. After that, we'll take a look at your high school transcripts. So we'll look to see what kind of classes you're taking and what kinds of grades you're getting. And we'll also take a look at your school report, which is a list of every single class that your school has to offer. And we'll take that school report and your high school transcripts and compare the two to see, are you taking a challenging curriculum within the context of your high school? So we want to see, does your school offer those honors, advanced, AP, IB, dual enrollments? How many do they offer? And have you taken any? So we'll look to see if you've taken any, how many in proportion to how many are offered. And we also look to see if you're taking them consistently throughout all 4 years of high school. So we like to see that kind of consistent involvement. So don't get to senior year and take like 20 PE classes, because that's not necessarily the most challenging curriculum, but keep taking those honors and advanced or AP and IB classes and continue taking those core classes too. We want to see you guys invested in your education and invested in challenging yourself. And keep in mind, if your school does offer those honors, AP, IB, dual enrollment kind of classes, we do advise taking those, because if they offer a ton and you don't take any, that doesn't seem like you're challenging yourself so much. So we look at those kinds of things when reviewing your transcript. After that, we'll take a look at your letters of recommendation. Now, we only require 2, one from a counselor and one from a teacher. Now, you don't really have much say in who your counselor is, but I'm sure they'll write you a stellar letter. But you can pick that teacher who's going to write your letter recommendation. So when you're picking out who that teacher is, make sure you're picking a teacher that you actually have a relationship with. They should know you really well and tell us all about your capabilities inside and outside of the classroom. Now, something a lot of students wonder is, do I have to pick a teacher that I got an A in their class? And my response to that is no. Just because you got an A in their class does not necessarily mean that they know you really well. And we always like to hear from teachers that you can actually tell know their students and can sing their praises, instead of someone that's just gonna say, oh yeah, the student got an A in my class, that's all I know. So make sure you're picking someone that will tell us how awesome you are and tell us how great you would be of an addition to the University of Miami. Now, also after that, which is new for our fall 2021 applicants. So guys, if this is you seniors, this is pay attention. We have gone fully test optional for all fall 2021 applicants. So what that means is you can choose whether or not to submit your test scores. If you are submitting test scores, we accept both the ACT and the SAT. We do not have a preference, and we will super score either test that you're sending, which means we'll take the highest score from each section and combine that to make your new highest score. Now, if you're sending your test scores, remember you can self-report them in on the common application. If you're applying to our School of Architecture and you do not submit test scores, you must submit a portfolio. And you can visit our School of Architecture's website to see their suggestions for what that portfolio should look like. And if you're applying to the Frost School of Music, there is an audition component to your application process. And that audition is mandatory regardless of whether or not you submit your test scores. So just things to keep in mind as you're picking which school or college or which major you're going to apply to. Now, if you are applying test optional for our fall 2021 applicants, it's important to know you will not be at a disadvantage for admission, scholarships, or aid, nor will you be at an advantage if you do submit test scores. We understand COVID-19 has prevented many of you from being able to take your SAT or ACT, so we don't want that to harm you. Remember, test scores are just one part of your application. So we'll still review everybody holistically and on the same level playing field. So you don't have to worry about hurting your application or helping your application by submitting or not submitting your test scores. Now, if you're applying to our special programs, like our dual degree programs, you don't need test scores for those either. You can just apply for them outright. And remember, if you are submitting test scores, you can self-report them on the Common App, and we don't need your official scores unless you are admitted and enrolling at the University of Miami. For additional information on our test optional policies and to see our supplemental essay prompts, visit admissions.miami.edu and you'll get all the ins and outs and everything you need to know. Now, this is also something new that I'm very excited we're rolling out for our admitted students. Starting with our fall 2021 admitted students, will be meeting 100% of demonstrated financial need, and that is a big deal. So we're trying to make Miami within reach for many of our students. If you are applying for financial aid, the first thing you need to remember to do is on the common application, there will be a question that asks, do you want financial aid? Here, you're gonna wanna check yes, because that's how we know that you'll be applying for aid. After that, you'll be submitting some documents to our financial aid office. The first of which being the CSS profile, which is non-federal aid, and then your FAFSA, and then the tax returns and W-2s, and we might need some additional documents like a non-custodial parent profile or a business and farm supplement if applicable. Now, our financial aid office will use all of these documents to determine what your financial aid package may look like. And if you want an estimate of what that could look like for you, you can go to finaid.miami.edu and check out our net price calculator and get a rough estimate of what that package might look like. Or if you just want more information on how to apply for financial aid or what all of these documents are, you can definitely check out those on the website at the top left of the screen, finaid.miami.edu/apply. They provide really comprehensive explanations of everything you need to apply for aid and what the difference between need-based and merit-based and how we plan on meeting demonstrated financial need. So it's definitely a great resource. I encourage you all to visit if you have additional questions. So if you're applying to you will have a couple different options for application pools and some different deadlines. The first deadline you have is November 1st, and there are two ways to apply by that November 1st deadline. The option number one is Early Decision 1. This is binding. So that means is your #1 school, you super duper love us, and if you are admitted, you are coming here 100% no matter what. So it is binding, so you will be submitting an agreement signed between you, your parent or guardian, and your counselor saying that you understand that you're committing to But if you're not ready to make that big commitment just yet, don't worry. You can apply early action. This is still an early notification plan, still an early deadline of November 1st. It's just non-binding. So if UM's in like your top 3 schools, but you're not ready to commit just yet, you can apply early action and still have some flexibility to see, where else did I get in? What's my financial aid package? And can I have some more time to weigh my options before committing to UM? Now, what's great about both Early Decision 1 and Early Action is if you apply in either of these two, you're automatically eligible for Premier Scholarships. And those award amounts go anywhere from full cost of tuition to full cost of attendance here at the U. Now, if you're not able to get your application in by that November 1st deadline, worry not, we have a January 1st deadline. And there are also 2 ways to apply by then as well. So the first of which being Early Decision 2. This is equally as binding as Early Decision 1, just a later deadline. So if you want still your number 1 choice school, but you needed more time to put together your application or to see if you can take your test again to raise your scores a little bit, you can apply Early Decision 2 by that January 1st deadline. The main difference, other than the different deadline, is that you are not eligible for Premier Scholarships under the Early Decision 2 option. And then last but not least, we have a Regular Decision, which also has a deadline of January 1st. This is our largest and most competitive application pool. So for context, Fall 2019's first year class had 38,895 applications come in. Fall 2020's first year class had 40,121 applications come in. So that gives you an estimate of what our application pools tend to look like. But what's important to remember about any of these options, whether it be Early Decision, Early Action, or Regular Decision, are automatically considered for merit-based scholarships. And you don't need to do anything extra. You're just automatically considered based upon the common application and the additional documents you're submitting when you apply to UM. And those merit scholarships can range up to $30,000. But remember, if you want to be considered for both the Premier Scholarships and the merit-based scholarships, you're definitely going to want to get your application in by either Early Decision 1 or Early Action deadline of November 1st. And if you're applying for financial aid, there is a deadline for those documents to come in too. And that would be November 15th if you're applying Early Decision 1 or Early Action, and January 1st if you're applying Early Decision 2 or Regular Decision. Now, it's important you guys get your financial aid documents in by that deadline because our goal is to give you your admission decision and your financial aid package at the same time. But if you turn your documents in after that deadline, then there'll be a delay in us processing and packaging them, so you won't get them at the same time. So my advice for you all is whenever you turn in your application, if possible, turn in your financial aid documents as well, just so you don't have to remember to go back later and do it later on. But what's important is just that you get everything in by that appropriate deadline. So with that being said, now we're going to bring in my colleague, Daniela Garcia Estrella, to help moderate and to answer some of your guys' questions.
Thank you, Imani. As Imani mentioned, my name is Daniela Garcia Estrella, and I'm an admission counselor here at the U. Imani, our students are wondering, what makes the University of Miami stand out?
So I would say University of Miami stands out for a lot of reasons, including how much individualized attention you get and how much access to resources that you have. So I often joke, UM has more resources than students. So there's no shortage of things that are there to help you out or ways that you can get involved or different support structures for you. But also our community is just unrivaled. So I love being a Miami Hurricane, both an employee and an alumna, just because the incredible sense of support you get from fellow Hurricanes is amazing. I can be anywhere in the world, and if I'm wearing UM gear and there's another Cane in the room, they're gonna walk up to me, they're gonna say hi, and they're gonna know if there's any way that they can support me or I can support them. And that kind of love and pride in being a Hurricane, you're never gonna find anywhere else. So why not come to UM and experience that for yourself?
Yep, retweet. Now, in response to COVID-19, what is UM doing?
So that's a great question. COVID-19 is a hot topic that's been on everybody's mind lately. And fortunately, President Julio Frank, who's the president of UM, has had experience dealing with these kind of international health crises before. So we've had great leadership while navigating the seas of COVID-19. So in March, immediately we went to fully remote. And over the summer, we were able to give all of our students 3 different options for returning to class in the fall. They could either return totally in person, they can either go totally remote, or they can do a hybrid option. So we're happy to say a lot of our students are still on campus, either doing fully in person or hybrid option, but a good chunk of them did go fully remote. We've also implemented a lot of different guidelines to make sure we're prioritizing the health and safety of our students, faculty, and staff. So that includes mandating face masks, as well as mandating COVID-19 tests, as well as implementing different social distancing guidelines. But we're still trying to give our students as close to a normal college experience as possible. It just might look a little differently, might be a little bit more spaced out, and students might have some masks on instead.
Awesome. How easy is it to change major?
So that's a great question. I have personal experience with this because when I was in college, I bounced around quite a bit before I landed on a major that I liked. It is very simple. It's as easy as meeting with your academic advisor and filling out a form and getting 1 or 2 signatures, but really common, really easy to do.
Now, our students have been curious about housing. Is it guaranteed? Can you talk a little bit about what freshman housing looks like?
Of course. So all first-year students who are not Miami-Dade or Broward County residents are required to live on campus. So you guys, as North Carolina and South Carolina residents, will be living on campus. Now, fortunately for you all, I'm very jealous. We are in the middle of a huge housing revamp. So we've just completed our newest residential college, Lakeside Village, which is where the sophomores and up live. But next up is freshman housing. So currently all of our first year students either live in Hecton Stanford, which is communal style living, or they live in Mahoney Pearson, which is suite style. So if you're in the communal style housing, you'll have a double room or a single room, depending on which option you pick, and you'll be sharing a floor with about 30 members of your same sex. And those bathrooms have about 6 shower stalls, 6 toilets, and 6 sinks. They are professionally cleaned multiple times a day, which is more than what I can say for my bathroom at home that I share with nobody. So although it sounds scary, it's very hygienic, especially now as we've increased sanitization efforts in response to COVID-19. Now, if you're in suite style living, you'll have a double room and share an adjoining bathroom with your neighbors who will also be members of your same sex. So you'll be all with all boys or all girls, unless you're in gender inclusive housing, which is an option for you here as well. You do have to clean those suite bathrooms yourself though, so keep that in mind. And last but not least, we have apartment style housing as well for upperclassmen. And that comes in a variety of options, whether that be 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 4 bedroom, 4 bath, anywhere in between. We have all those options for you guys.
Awesome. Now, is the University of Miami's campus walkable for students?
It is so walkable. So that's one of the beauties that I love about our campus is that we're not in the middle of a city. So you don't have to worry about like major streets cutting through campus or anything like that. So you'll see a lot of people riding bikes, walking, skateboarding. We even have a unicycler on campus. So that's always fun to see when he's going to class. But from one end of campus to another, you can walk it in about 15 minutes, unless you're like me and you like to stop every 5 minutes to say hi, then it might take you a little longer, but usually on average about 15 to 20 minutes if you're leisurely walking. If you don't want to walk, we also have shuttles that will take you around campus as well.
Awesome. Now, our students have started the application process and they're wondering, is it better to get a teacher recommendation from a teacher who taught you in a course related to your major?
So what's most important is that that teacher actually has a good relationship with you and can talk about your abilities inside and outside of the classroom. So that's what you should prioritize. If that teacher also happens to be in the subject area that you're interested in pursuing, even better. But the most important thing is to have that relationship and for that teacher to have that knowledge about you.
Yeah. If I apply early decision, can I apply to other universities?
So early decision is a binding agreement, which means if you get in here, you're committing to coming. And that's not really going to work out if you're applying early decision to a lot of different institutions, because that's basically saying I'm going to come to every institution I apply into, which as many of us know, that's not entirely possible. So I would recommend picking one institution that you're definitely 100% on board to coming if admitted. But for us, if we're not that #1 choice for you, I recommend applying early action because that's our non-binding option. So still an early notification plan, just without the commitment.
Now, when it comes to applying, is there an application fee?
So there is an application fee. I believe it's $75 to $80. But if you are eligible for fee waivers, or if you receive a fee waiver from any organizations, we will accept those. So if you have one of those, make sure to submit those when you're applying.
What are study and tutor sessions like?
That's a great question. So we have a lot of different resources for our students and to support them academically. The main one on campus comes from our Camner Center for Academic Resources, and their students can sign up for up to 3 hours of free tutoring a week per subject area. So say you'd want to tutor, you can get tutored by a fellow student that has previously taken that same class as you and gotten at least an AN. So they may have gotten an A+ even. So you can get a couple hours of tutoring per week from that student for each class. Also, our teachers have office hours. They're required to have office hours. So if you wanted help from your actual professor, you can go there and get that help on an assignment too. A lot of our students also love to create study groups with their fellow classmates. So there's a lot of different options for you in terms of studying and academic support.
What is UM most known for in terms of academics, programs, and opportunities outside college?
So I would say UM is known for quite a bit, but I would say we're most widely known for our STEM or pre-med or pre-health related tracks, just because we have the University of Miami Miller School of Medicine and the UM Hospital. So it's kind of like a lot of students like to go stick with being a Cane even after they graduate. I'd also say our marine science program, the Rosenstiel School of Marine and Atmospheric Science. Miami is in a great spot to study anything related to the marine life or anything related to atmospheric science. And our Rosenstiel School of Marine and Atmospheric Science, or RASMUS for short, definitely takes advantage of our location and provides a ton of different resources and opportunities. Our Miami Herbert Business School is super popular. They have a lot of different resources, especially given how many corporations and companies are in Miami. They have a lot of connections to those different opportunities and internships. And we're also known just for our strong alumni network. So our alumni love to pour back into the university, and that looks like a lot of different things. It could be mentorship, shadowing, or even coming back to recruit students to work at their companies. So we're widely known for a lot. No matter what you end up getting into at UM, you're gonna be in good hands.
Yeah. Does the University of Miami require college interviews?
So UM does not require nor grant interviews. If you have specific questions relating to our admission process, you're more than welcome to reach out to your assigned admission officer, which in y'all's case is me, and I'll be happy to chat with you, but we will not interview you.
Do you have an honors program? And if so, is the ACT/SAT score still needed?
So we do have honors and scholars programs. They are by invitation only. So when you apply, we'll review your application, and if you are, the admissions committee deems you a good fit for those honors or scholars programs, we'll invite you to them. And they fall under that special program category. So you do not need to submit test scores for consideration.
Awesome. Are freshmen allowed to have cars on campus?
So because freshmen are required to live on campus, they are not allowed to have cars unless they are local residents and commuting. But that will not hinder you guys in getting around. So UM is literally right across the street from our Metro Rail. And I do mean like right across the street, like you can throw a rock and you'll hit it. And that Metro Rail will take you literally all the way up north in Miami and all the way down south, and has major stops in all the major neighborhoods. Of course, rideshare apps like Uber and Lyft are very popular as well. You have our Hurricane shuttles that will take you around campus and to some local areas in the vicinity. And you have my favorite option, which is what I did when I was in school, which was to befriend the upperclassmen with cars.
Where do students like to hang out when they're not on campus?
So when they're not on campus, I would say they like to go all over Miami. So I know Wynwood's a very popular spot. That's usually where I like to hang out as a student and as an alum. We also have a lot of different restaurants, of course, in the Brickell area. That's a really big metropolitan area that has a ton of restaurants there. There's, of course, Miami Beach. You're going to want to go to the beach at least once during your time at UM. And then you have some cultural hotspots like Little Havana or Little Haiti. Now, if you guys ever visit Miami, it's kind of like an unofficial law that if you come to Miami, you have to have Cuban food or else you didn't actually come to Miami. So if you ever get the chance to stop by, make sure you grab a plate.
Now, what is your favorite spot on campus?
Ooh, So I can actually show you on my background. It's right there. That is our Rathskeller, which is our on-campus sports grill. And it's pretty much like the culmination of every single history and tradition that you can think of is in that, the Rath. So I like to go there, especially outside on the gliders and hang out, grab some food. So food is very important to me. So the Rat has my favorite food on campus, which is called No Yes Fries. And those are bacon, cheese, and ranch fries. And they're called No Yes Fries because you see them at first and you're like, no, absolutely not. But then you taste them and you're like, okay, yes, 100%, I'm into this. So that's my favorite spot on campus. I would say my number 2 favorite spot is definitely the U statue. It's a great place to get those photos in, to hashtag go Canes, and it's just fun to hang out on the rock, on the gliders with friends, especially when it's food truck day, because we have food trucks like pretty much every day. So always great to grab a plate of food.
Now, what's the campus and school environment like?
Yeah, so our campus is incredibly community oriented and supportive. So this is really cool because a lot of institutions that have kind of that same academic reputation as we do, or the same rigor of academics, it's kind of competitive amongst students, but not here. We're really collaborative. So we like to support our fellow Canes. We actually have a saying, and it's Canes care for Canes. So that means like, we'll have your back, you have ours, and we'll always look out for you, whether that be helping you in class, giving you a hand if you're carrying something, or even just being a friendly face when you're walking across campus.
Does the University of Miami offer any application fee waivers? How do I go about getting one?
So we don't actually offer fee waivers, but you can usually go about getting one by talking to your CAP advisor or a guidance counselor or any counselor at your high school, and they'll either connect you with College Board, which gives out fee waivers, or they might connect you with some organizations that offer fee waivers as well.
Okay, we have time for 2 more questions. Can you tell us more about merit-based scholarships?
Yes, so we do have a plethora of merit-based scholarships. So we have merit-based and premier scholarships, both of which are technically merit scholarships, but they have different names. So the merit-based scholarships would be like the Presidential Awards or the Canes Achievement Scholarships, can range up to $30,000, and you're automatically considered for those no matter which application option you apply into. And our premier scholarships, which are the ones that range full cost of tuition to full cost of attendance. And those are specifically for our early decision 1 and early action applicants. Now we have a lot of different scholarship offerings. So I definitely recommend visiting admissions.miami.edu because it'll give you a breakdown of every single scholarship that we have, who's eligible for it, what it covers, and any requirements that it may have. So that's definitely a great resource to check out. But remember, you're automatically considered for merit scholarships. And if you apply by that November 1st deadline, either early decision 1 or early action, you're automatically eligible for premier and merit scholarships.
And then my last and probably favorite question, what is your favorite tradition?
So by far, my favorite tradition is homecoming. More specifically, we have an event on Friday of homecoming called Hurricane Howl. So we'll be on the Lake Osceola, which is this lake here. We'll blast fireworks off of our student center. So there'll be orange and green fireworks, and we all join hands and sing the alma mater. And it's just one of those moments where the sense of pride is like overwhelming, and it's like tangible how happy everyone is to be. And you see Hurricanes from decades ago, you see them old, you see their kids, you see just fans that are in the area, current students and alumni alike, just mixing, being happy, and showing that hurricane pride. So that sense of community and that sense of pride, like literally that's my favorite part about homecoming. Like it's just like, it's electric, it's amazing. But thank you so much everybody for joining us today. We really appreciate you stopping by, and you're always more than welcome to connect with us, admissions.miami.edu. So thanks, and go Canes.
Well, like Imani said, thank you very much for joining us today. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. We'd appreciate any feedback that you can provide. Also, this was just one of many sessions being hosted, so be sure to check out the full schedule at CACRAO.org. In about a week, you'll be able to find this session's recording, as well as any other sessions recording at CACRAO.org. Thank you very much and have a great day.